we're back a lot sooner than I thought we would be, and based on the context of the last video, the premiere earlier tonight, this is all the more disturbing. With Allie Carter, the last day, yesterday and today, getting posted around that she's demanding for the Epstein files to be released. And I mean, people have been asking since they'd sort of released them, but it was basically a whole lot of nothing. But more specifically, this last day or so, it's been shared around that Allie's like really fully demanding Pam Bondi get it together here and release the files. So the last thing I expected was for this news to come across my feed here. And right off the bat, thank you Sentinel is sending me over some screenshots from the Twitter and getting some other stuff together here so that we can have a decent presentation on the fly. I'm not usually so good at totally winging it, but we're gonna do our best here and try to do it some justice, so that doesn't get suppressed, Alan. I think it's quite obvious why people don't use specific hard words when it comes to this sort of thing, but I don't know if I really need to explain that. I think everybody's fine that we don't need to know exactly. We know the word, we know what it means. Right off the bat, I don't think I believe that she did this to herself. Same that most people don't believe that Epstein did it to himself. Shit, sorry guys, I'm kind of trying to find my words here. I'm just still pretty shocked and taken aback. And as you guys are too, obviously, I can see in the chat, you guys just, there's no words for it. It's pretty unexpected and pretty tragic, obviously. I think this definitely puts a dent into, the victims that have come forward because she came forward and spoke, and that gave them strength to come forward. Kind of puts a dent in the trial and the case itself. She was the star witness and one of the main victims that was speaking out about this for years. She had taken Prince Andrew to court as well back in 2021. So obviously this is just a huge tragedy for just survivors all around, whether it's to do with this case or just in general. I think we're all feeling a hit, taking a hit here in the guts. But yeah, what's up, everybody? Thanks for swinging back already. It's I know it's sort of out of the blue, and we were just on not long ago, but I appreciate you guys jumping up and getting in here, because I think this is a really important report to go in on and to review. But yeah, she's the witness, the star witness that had shit. I'm just yeah, Prince Andrew and some other. She had named a lot of other people. She was a star witness and one of the main victims, like I said. Just one sec. I'm gonna get my animals out of here. They're getting all riled up about the situation. That's gonna be distracting. I'm trying to get on my lap here. Hold on one sec, guys. Anyways, so if you don't know already, I'm gonna run through a bit more details about who Virginia was. It's she's also known as Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Yeah, sorry guys, let's all take a moment of silence for her, I think, maybe, because I'm just still kind of collecting myself here and trying to get stuff prepped a little bit, but I wanted to jump on this right away. But yeah, maybe we just have a moment of silence for her, just to start us off, because I'm just so lost for words. Because it is a huge detriment to the case. And it's already been dragged out for so long, and we're still waiting on the files to be released. So yeah, no, exactly, Tubular. And she was posting that she was not looking to hurt herself or end her life. And I mean, now you guys can understand why Ali and Shelley all the time when they end off their updates, they say that they're not looking to end their lives, and they do that whole spiel. And for anybody that was questioning whether or not they were actually in any real danger with what they're doing and speaking out so loudly and standing so strong in what they're doing, I think this is like a big, huge sign right here of like how dangerous this really is. She was in Australia too. Like Virginia was in Australia. She wasn't anywhere in North America. She was out and away and far, far away. So people that are doubting the Allie situation and her kind of having to stay on the move and not wanting to be a sitting duck, we have this woman who's, been trying to speak out for years. She's been going through the whole thing, had moved over to Australia to get out and away from everything and to find safety and peace and serenity. And look what happens, So, obviously there's some small chance that she did do this to herself from all the stress of everything that's been coming down the line the last few weeks and just where everything stands. She's been fighting this battle a long time, but I really don't want to believe it, and I really am having a hard time believing it, Exactly, Liz Mad. Yeah, it's very real. It's a psychological, spiritual, and digital war, but it's also real. It's real life too, right? So we can't forget that. So I guess actually, as opposed to the moment of silence, just while I'm collecting myself here, I'm going to play this video. It's the first report. And I've got a couple of the news reports up ready to go. So we'll skim through those. And I got some tweets getting sent to me right now. So we'll start going through some of those as well. But my goodness, this is so, it's just really out of left field. Was definitely least expecting. But, it's trying to shake anybody in the situation. I think it's like... it's not just something that's silencing her, that it's sort of like a warning shot to other survivors and other people related to this case and relating to potentially other cases that are kind of connected but not in a way. So I hope that we could all stay strong. I really hope that the other witnesses in this case continue to stand strong and stand tall and don't let this deter them from going forward with their suits, because this obviously is going to strike fear in them, and it's reasonably so. But this is all the more reason. This is even more reason to stand tall and seek justice. Anyway, okay, let me go ahead with this clip, and then we'll continue from here. We'll see where it takes us. We're going to kind of be doing the deep dive together on the fly here.
The scope of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes finally came to light. Virginia Giuffre was the woman at the center of the story, publicly sharing painful details of her own experience. In a statement to NBC News tonight, her family announcing the 41-year-old mother of 3 took her own life, writing she lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse, sex trafficking, and domestic violence. Giuffre said she was recruited by Epstein's girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell when she was just 14 years old. According to Giuffre, it was the start of years of sexual abuse by Epstein, Maxwell, and their friends.
It was that constant, we own the police. You can't run. You can't tell anybody. We'll never be held accountable for this.
At age 17, Giuffre said Maxwell and Epstein directed her to have sex multiple times with Prince Andrew, an allegation the prince denied. Giuffre sued, and she settled with the prince in 2022, receiving an undisclosed amount of money. Epstein and Maxwell were both charged with sex trafficking. Epstein took his own life in federal prison before standing trial. Maxwell was convicted and given a 20-year sentence. In one of her last social media posts earlier this month, Giuffre said she was hospitalized after a car accident and was gravely injured, posting a disturbing photo. But days later, she was released. Tonight, the family says they are heartbroken, writing Giuffre was heroic and will always be remembered for her incredible courage and loving spirit. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News.
Yeah, no, exactly, Melissa Zuppo, I agree. She was, she got this far, she fought for so long, I really, really find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe. And it doesn't seem like there's any actual, it's not really specifying by way of, if it was, an accidental thing or if it was, very intentional. But I think that'll give that'll give us a little more of a idea of what really happened here. We have a lot of people that have tried to speak out about things in the past that end up finding themselves hanging from doorknobs and things like that. That does just seem so unlikely to be something that was self-inflicted, But yeah, so 41 years old too, so young, so many years left to live. Yeah. Well, and I think, there has been a lot of conflict with some of the family members in the last little bit, too, with, things really heating up. A lot of tensions were rising, and I think it's just been a struggle for them all for so long that, like, exactly like you guys were just saying, I find it so hard to believe that she would do this to herself, and especially with how many victims, there's so many victims that credited her for giving them the courage to speak out, you know, not only just about this, but, like, there's power in numbers. More people feeling more courageous to just speak up in general, let alone just in this case, you know, and that's, you know, that's the big thing. That's why it's so important to stay united and for more people to come out and speak out on things if they know something or they've seen something or they're part of something. Like, seek justice if you can, you know. They can't silence everyone, but this obviously is pretty terrifying for anybody in this case specifically. But she was like one of the main star witnesses and victims that her critical information is what contributed to the investigation and the conviction of Ghislaine. Which of course too, we've got Ghislaine in. She's in jail now. Like, she's been served justice, and she'll be there for a while, but we still don't have any of the names of the clients. You know, we know that this was a whole network and that there were various clients, and it wasn't just teens either. I think they've really focused on the fact that it's mainly the teens, you know, some of the young girls that Epstein specifically was had servicing him, but there was so much more to it. And, you know, they're trying to kind of cover all the rest of that up and want us to just think it was just teens. But these were the islands. There is a network. There's so much more going on here. And this is exactly the stuff that, you know, people like Allie Carter has been trying to talk about. You know, people like Kathy O'Brien's been speaking about it for decades. So, like, we really need to wake the fuck up and start paying attention. And not let them sweep this under the rug, too. Because that's what it's starting to sound like, is it's going to be... They're just going to be another cover-up. And we can't let that happen. She was a fierce warrior in the fight against abuse and trafficking, a light that lifted so many survivors. In the end, the toll of abuse is so heavy that it became unbearable for her to handle its weight. Yeah, how convenient that the trauma of the abuse led her to end her life. It's such an convenient storyline, you know, but I just, at this point, we've seen too many patterns. There's too many dots connecting that just make it so unbelievable, you know. Raised primarily in Florida, she had a troubled childhood, which of course made her a target. You know, these kind of predators are looking for vulnerable kids that come from broken homes or abusive or dysfunctional homes, and it's a lot easier for them to prey on them. She said that she was abused by a family friend, which triggered a downward spiral that led her to living on the streets for time as a teenager. Which, you know, once again, this kind of lines up with a lot of what Allie's been saying, you know, and just how easy it was for her to end up in precarious situations with adults taking advantage of her because she kept running away. And, like, it's just as bad when you're in the foster care system, and there's so much more going on there. So they end up, you know, on the streets and desperate, and then this is where other people come and they take advantage. People, you know, offering them place to stay or offering them money for this or offering them that. And they end up taking advantage of them because what other choice do they really have? You know, they don't want to be sleeping on the streets. There's danger there too. So then somebody comes along as if they're going to help them out. And it's a tale as old as time. This is what happens a lot with a lot of young people, and that end up out on the street. And, you know, then they end up doing in a lifetime of sex work and stuff like that, which, you know, I'm pretty convinced that most people in that industry were abused as children, and they just led to believe that's all they're good for, you know, or it's just all that they know by the time they become an adult, and they just don't have a choice, you know. A lot of them, they've lost their whole childhood to this stuff, and oh man, this is just fun. This is tough. This is one of the toughest streams I think I've done in a while. I'm like, it's just really sad. It's really, really sad because it's not just Virginia. It's the same story for so many people, and whether they were a starved witness victim or not, or whether they were part of this big kind of case or not, like this happens so often to so many kids, you know, and they grow up so fast, and the next thing, they're getting preyed upon. Fuck. So she was attempting to rebuild her life when she met Maxwell, Epstein's close confidant and madame, basically. Kind of just going to be paraphrasing this a little bit and add my own little commentary. Virginia claims that Maxwell had groomed her to be abused by Epstein and associates, and the abuse continued from 1999 to 2002. She also alleged that he had shared her with his powerful friends, including Prince Andrew and French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel. So this is like the elite, this is elite level trafficking and trading, and but this happens from top to bottom. Like, this isn't just among the elite, it's not just among certain groups of people, it's everywhere, it's everyone. This happens all over the fucking world. Oh man. Yeah, I'm just still kind of a loss for words. I'm trying to find the words here for you guys, but obviously here she is as a young teen and with Prince Andrew, who denied all of the things. But I mean, we know what she went to jail for, and we know that there's been other stuff floating around about this guy. And obviously she had contact as a teen, and when you look at the flight logs and you look at the unredacted black book, and yeah, sorry guys, I'm gonna keep trying to push on here, but I'm getting kind of emotional about this, because it's like, this is why they don't speak up. This is why so many people go through a lifetime of trauma and abuse, and they end up with addictions, and they end up on the streets and just totally lost, because this is the kind of shit that happens. And then if they try to speak up, bad things can happen, or they see this kind of stuff happen, and then they never want to speak up because they're scared. This scares people, Epstein supposedly ended his own life in jail in 2019 while he was awaiting trial. Maxwell was found guilty on 5 counts of trafficking in 2021 for her role in recruiting the girls to be abused. And somehow we've still yet to see justice for any of the other people. There's nobody else has been brought to justice, but we know there's lists and lists and lists of people that were running in these same circles. And there were islands, and there's yachts, there's so many other places and people and things going on here. She had filed the lawsuit against Prince Andrew in 2021, alleging that he had abused her when she was 17. He stepped back from his duties as an active royal as controversy related to Epstein swirled around him, and agreed to settle the case for an undisclosed amount in 2022, although he continued to deny having relations with her. But we know, the royals, man, we know there's so many weird things going on over there, too. Prince Charles had a pretty close relationship with Jimmy Savile. And, there's all kinds of fuckery going on there. We know that Ali's spoken about Buckingham Palace and what may or may not be going on under there in the tunnel systems there, or the basements, or the subfloors, or whatever you want to refer to them as, that may or may not be there. I gotta maintain that it's allegedly, and that I can't confirm 100% that any of that is fact until proven by the court of law. But so do your own research, use your discretion, and draw your own conclusions. But I think that the more and more that's being revealed, I think there's so much more of these things that have been considered just theories that are being proven to be true. So we just have to keep our eyes wide open. Jean-Luc Brunel headed several modeling agencies, which so did Epstein. He was part of M2, and a lot of in the industry, there's a lot of connections between the modeling agency he had worked with. There's so many connections. We could go all night on all of the different connections, so I won't worry too much about that right now. But he had headed several modeling agencies, was charged with harassment and forced trespasses of at least one minor in December of 2020, denied any wrongdoing, and also died at his... I didn't even know that, actually. That's news to me, that Jean-Luc Brunel also... How convenient. Had apparently, supposedly, reportedly ended his own life in his jail cell in February of 2022. Several months prior, Virginia had testified against Brunel in a Paris courtroom in June of 2021. So she was just on and on with so many different lawsuits, too, really trying to bring all these guys to justice. This poor woman, man. An interview after a day-long closed-door testimony, she said that she appeared in court to be the voice for the victims and to make sure he was brought to justice. I want Brunel to know that he no longer has the power over me, that I'm a grown woman now, and I've decided to hold him accountable for what he did to me and so many others. Giuffre moved to Australia with her husband before Epstein's 2019 arrest. The couple has 3 children. 3 little kids now without a mom. Holy shit. It's so fucking sad. No one will see the list. How can any of you ever thought he would reveal it? Both sides. Yeah, well, that's the problem, nurse, is it's all connects together, you know? There's too much incentive to hide it, you know? Too many people get paid off. Too many people are so easily bought. And, I mean, all these people can afford the best of the best lawyers, and you got people that can't even afford a good lawyer getting off on things that they really shouldn't be. Like, the whole legal system's pretty skewed that to make it so that people that can afford high-priced lawyers can basically afford it's just the cost of doing business, basically, when you're part of this kind of network. It's either cost of doing business or cost of, you know, doing your fuckery that you do. It's like an extra tax. It's fuckery tax for some of these people. If you're making billions of dollars and you can spend $10, $15, $20,000, you know, 25, 50, whatever. A lot of people have a price. Like, lawyers have a price, and they're gonna lie for you, whether they think you're guilty or not. Their job's to defend you. That's what they'll do, you know, and they'll charge you up the ass. And if you've got billions of dollars to fight it, you know, there's more chance you're gonna get off scot-free. Which is exactly what happened here, you know, with Prince Andrew. Oh, okay, well, we'll pay you a settlement, and let's just call it quits, you know. Here, we'll pay you some money. Here's money here, money there, money everywhere. And where do you think the money comes from? In a lot of these cases, too, like... Her brother, Danny Wilson, told NBC News that she pushed so hard to snuff the evil out of the world. Her biggest push was, if I don't do this, nobody's going to do it. He said regarding her advocacy that she was in real physical pain, suffered from renal failure, but I think that the mental pain was worse. Well, and of course we know too that complex trauma and severe and or prolonged abuse can cause, you know, can manifest physically too. Especially if it's ongoing. Like, you got to think of the narcissistic abuse that's happening to these survivors when they do try to speak out, and how many people try to dismiss them and discredit them, and people take sides, and they just it all gets lost in the sauce, you know. Yep. Yeah, you guys know it. Like, I'm preaching to the choir here. A quote like that does not sound like a woman, yeah, that's looking to end themselves. Absolutely, you know, like, she was so strong. She had fought this for so long and been through so much, like, so much. I'm just going to catch up the comments here for a second, guys, sorry. Yeah, Pam Bondi came out and said that every FBI field office and every state's FBI office has all the documents. So where are they? Yeah, that's a great question. Like, this is where we need to start demanding. We need to start contacting all the offices. Whatever state you live in, contact the office, the FBI field office, and let's start demanding. Let's start asking questions. Let's start demanding they release these friggin' files, man. Because it's like, we can't keep letting these people, these elitists, these evil powers that be, get away with this shit. Like, the time is up. Like, this is the fight that we're fighting. This is the good fight, you know? We all need to start rallying together and doing something about this. Like, we can't just keep letting this shit happen, you know? And that's the kind of shit that a lot of the victims and witnesses are fearing for in this upcoming Diddy trial, you know? This is why people like Ali are on the run right now and trying to just keep on the move so that they're not just sitting ducks, because their testimony and their statements are so important in upcoming cases, you know? Yeah, the kid that was filmed falling out of the window in Buckingham Palace. Yeah, it was a young teen, I think. I don't know if it was a young child. It was like a teen, but yeah, he was willing to risk his life trying to get away from whatever was going on in that palace, and nobody questions it. And in that clip, if you watch that clip, the women filming, they like turn to this other guy filming, or they're just standing there and the guy behind them's filming, and they turn, they're like laughing. It's like so funny that this naked person's climbing out the window and then plunging to their death. So funny, haha. Like, nobody gonna ask questions? Nobody gonna look at that and wonder what the fuck was going on there? Yeah, well, exactly, Tish Ricky, that's a great point. Like, it's so hard to believe she's doing it to herself when she had kids, too. Like, it's just one more reason to keep on living, you know? Like, it's not like she was in dire straits and, you know, suffering in a way that would drive her to want to do it to herself. Like, it sounds like she had a pretty happy home and was continuing her life, and things were looking up for her, with all things considered, you know? And against all odds. And yeah, fair enough. Just because you're strong doesn't mean you don't have internal struggles and demons. People hide it really well when they're in turmoil. But yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But she did absolutely say in tweets and things like that she wasn't thinking about ending her life. That you know, making those statements, that she's not mentally unwell in that regard. Try to grab what you can before it's wiped out, y'all. Yeah, good point, Sentinel. Thank you, and thank you for joining us, and thanks for sending all those tweets over. I'm gonna bring those up here in a minute too. I'm just trying to make my way through some of these news reports first, but it's awfully hard. It's really awfully hard. I'm kind of absorbing it and taking it in as we're talking here. Usually I have time to gather myself and collect my thoughts about stuff and put it together in a presentation, and I'm kind of just, like I said, I'm just winging it here. It could be Serenity 271. Soon Diddy will fake his own. Yeah, it could be. If it is even Diddy in there, you know, like, some people think that he could have been using a stand-in, and sent the stand-in over to New York to be waiting around for an arrest, and that he's just off on an island somewhere, you know. So who really knows? When you got all this money and all this power, and you got all this footage of people doing heinous things, like the level of blackmail and coercion, and it's just a whole new level. There's a whole new level when you're up there with that kind of money and when you're committing these kinds of crimes, you know? Yeah, no, exactly, Veronica. That's another great example. Okay, let's continue this article. Sorry, guys, I just wanted to catch up in the comments here. You guys all got really great points to add to this. The Epstein story received renewed attention during the most recent presidential election, and in February, Attorney General Pam Bondi released a collection of Epstein-related files. No, she didn't. There was nothing. It was nothing we hadn't already seen, and a lot of it was redacted, where when, you know, back in however many years ago, we all had the unredacted files. We've seen the flight logs. We've seen the unredacted black book. So whatever the hell was released, and that whole photo op bullshit, it was all theater. It was all theater, you know? Yeah, there we go. So the release was widely panned for containing information that was almost entirely previously public. The lead up to its release, including concerns about the disclosure of sensitive or personally identifying information about victims, had been a source of distress and anxiety for victims in recent months. Multiple victims told NBC News. Well, I don't think that any of the victims were released. None of their information was released. But some victims are okay with having their information released. Like the video we just premiered is Ali saying, like, I'm cool with my information being released. Release the files. And obviously Virginia, her identity's always been known through this, right? So some victims are willing to step forward and be in the light, and some are not, and that's okay. And that's what should be redacted. But the rest, all of the perpetrators, should be put in the spotlight. Like, we shouldn't be hiding this shit. Why are we spending more time protecting predators than we are protecting the kids and protecting victims? Virginia's lawyer, Sigrid McCauley, described her as a dear friend and an incredible champion for other victims. Those who were close to Virginia said that they remembered her as a fighter. Virginia was one of the most extraordinary human beings I've ever had the honor to know, her representative, Denny von Muffling said. Sorry, I probably just butchered that name. McCauley said her courage pushed me to fight harder, and her strength was awe-inspiring. An interview for a Dateline NBC special on Epstein that aired before authorities charged Maxwell and Burdell, Virginia urged law enforcement to act. Take us serious, she said. We matter. All victims matter. All the kids matter. Like, this, we need to just quit fucking around. Like, as a society, we need to quit fucking around here, because, like, this shit keeps happening, and we can't just keep sweeping under the rug. We can't just keep accepting this official narrative, you know? And, like, a part of me is thinking that maybe she's gone into witness protection, and it's like she faked it. It's been faked. They decided to fake her passing for her own protection. Which I'm really hoping. I don't know, though. How are we gonna know? Who knows for sure, right? But yeah, of course, Sam. Well, I mean, I can't hold it back. Can't pretend not to have one, you know? I don't think anyone can be keeping their composure right now with this, with somebody that's, like, for myself, that fights this so strongly and so passionately, you know? It's all the same great big elephant in the room. It's just different piles of shit, right? We're cleaning up shit left and right, and it really hits you where it hurts when stuff like this happens, when this is like you feel like as your purpose to expose this kind of stuff and to bring more awareness to this stuff. It's like losing one in the good fight, you know? And honestly, like, I was just thinking how, like, powerful today was between you know, yesterday and today, with Allie getting the message out to demand the files come out, and then Kathy O'Brien was on, I guess, the Alex Jones show, which I'm not sure really what to think about Alex Jones. You know, some of the stuff is probably pretty bang on, but other stuff I'm not sure. I just, you know, I don't watch enough of it to know exactly how on the ball he is or not, but I know that he does have a pretty big audience and pretty big, you know, he's able to spread the message far and wide, and Kathy O'Brien getting on there and speaking about crimes against humanity and children that's been going on for decades. I saw that as a big win. So there were some big wins yesterday and today in this good fight, and then this is just like a devastating loss, you know? It's kind of like it's just knocking us down a peg again, you know? You live in Australia, where Virginia was living. Not one mention of her death was reported on any news channels there. It's so bizarre. Oh, yeah, that is, Catherine. I know Sky News. I think, is Sky News, I think they're Australian, and because they're already saying it's tomorrow. Oh, no, they're UK. Which is even weirder then, though, that the UK and everywhere over here, we've all announced it, but where she lives in Australia, it hasn't been announced. It's already tomorrow in the UK. I'll look into it more, if there's anything else, if there's more news reports coming out, because this is just like now. This is like an hour ago this started being reported. So, and depending what time it is in Australia right now. What time is it there? Here, actually, I'm going to just look it up quick. Oh, it's like noon tomorrow. Pardon me. Hey, Mustard Gas. Yeah, well, this is it. We all just need to start making more noise. We need to start asking more questions. We just can't keep letting them get away with this shit. Not saying she wasn't a victim, but if you thought that she possibly was involved in bringing others in. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As they're getting older, they need younger replacements. That's how it works. It's a vicious cycle. And so even Ghislaine might have been a victim at some point, but if you continue the vicious cycle into adulthood, rather than with Virginia, like, standing up and trying to fight back, like, that's the difference. That's the difference. How old was Ghislaine? And she'd been doing this her whole life, so victim or not, it's not okay. Whatever she was doing to perpetuate that cycle, you know? Where Virginia, it sounds like once she reached early adulthood, rather she was sort of under their control and programming and grooming, she maybe made some mistakes and maybe had led some of these women in, because that's how these operations work. That's just how it works. But you don't bite the hand that feeds you, right? Like, there's so much more to that. And at some point, though, she's gone all the way headstrong into doing something about it, rather than going into her 50s, ending up going into jail, and then sitting there in jail. Oh, well, you know, I should have known better. I shouldn't have linked up with Epstein. Like that bullshit video that came out the other day of Ghislaine talking about. It was like her first interview coming out of the jail, which actually, let me see if I still have that, because we'll watch that. Maybe we'll watch it right now, and then we'll read some of these other news articles, but I think we're already all on the same page anyways, right? And we're going to check out some of these tweets and stuff too. But just give me a second here. Let's see if I can find this quick. I just had it. It was like just the other day. She's like her first interview out of jail or while in jail. Like showing her face, because there have been lots of reports and different stuff coming out. With sketches and them kind of reporting what she's saying or whatever like that. But there was like a full-on little interview here. Just one second. Could have sworn it was not long ago. It should be in the history here somewhere. Like, or not. Let me just see if it's in this folder. I'll try to find it either way. I might have to search it up again, but I could have sworn I downloaded it. I download everything. But I've had a lot of different projects on the go, and might already gotten buried in my archives here. Or it's already been taken down. I hope I saved it somewhere. That's not sus at all. It's like it never existed. When you search Ghislaine on, maybe I'm not spelling it right. Maybe that's why. Hold on. 1 second. Shit. Like I might have mistyped it when I saved it, so let me just try this other spelling here, guys. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, shit. Yeah, I hope I backed it up somewhere. I can't find it right now. That's alright. We'll just continue here. But yeah, it was like just the other day. Maybe I just saved it straight to my phone. Just hold on. I'm gonna go so see if there's another video clip to play here on one of these news reports while I look for this, because I do think it's important to share with you guys. Okay, let me open up a fresh window here and we'll just see what else we can find. There's more video reports right now about it, or that have come up out about it. Yeah, I wondered that too. The accident, she got like hit by a bus or something like that. I had wondered that, like, that was an attempt. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, here's one. I was trying to find one that's like gonna have different information too than what we just
Welcome back and Alive Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Breaking news coming in, some sad news to share. We're learning this from the New York Post, several other outlets reporting this as well. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus. A statement given to NBC News was quoted as such from the 41-year-old's family. It says, "It's with utterly broken hearts that we announced that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. The New York Post says that Giuffre took legal action against billionaire financier Epstein in 2015, alleging that she was sex trafficked at age 16 after his ex-lover and convicted Madam Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her from her job as a locker room attendant at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. The mom of 3, according to the Post, also alleged that she was forced to have sex with disgraced Prince Andrew 3 times when she was 17, including at Epstein's Little St. James Island in New Mexico and in Maxwell's London home, where a notorious photo of her with King Charles' eldest brother was taken. The Post says the allegations became the biggest scandal to rock the royal family in a generation. Again, hearing of the sad news just within the past hour, Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, taking her own life on Thursday. It was announced on Friday, her death. She was 41 years old, her family confirming this. People saying Giuffre, Jeffrey Epstein, and Prince Andrew abuse accuser, sadly dying by suicide at the age of 41. If any more details become available.
Okay, got a little repetitive, but I guess they're just trying to get the news out the way that they do. Definitely a lot of heavy use of language there that probably wasn't necessary either, but it just is what it is. That's the way they do the news. But I did find the clip, and her kind of almost saying that she's like a victim, Ghislaine or whatever, however you want to say her name. I guess doesn't matter. She doesn't really deserve respect. But her kind of trying to say like that he kind of led her to it, into the whole thing. If this is the clip, if I'm remembering correctly, but I just grab some stuff out and file it for when it's needed sometimes, before I really get a chance to watch the whole thing. So just 1 second, okay, let's shut that off. We don't need that coming through. So 1 sec, let me load this up, guys.
I believe that he was murdered. Well, I was shocked. And I wondered how it had happened. Because as far as I was concerned, I was sure he was going to appeal. And I was sure that he was covered under the non-prosecution agreement. But I wasn't in the indictment. So I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't even one of the co-conspirators. I obviously wish I'd never met him. Looking back now, I probably wish I had stayed in England. But leaving that aside, I tried to leave and start a new job and move on from the end of 98, 99. So I wish that I had been more successful at moving on. Because I became a banker, so I should have, moved on completely. At the time, I wouldn't have had a problem introducing people to my friends to him, because I didn't know that he was so awful. I mean, obviously now, looking back with hindsight, of course, but at the time, I mean, he had lots of friends. I mean, he was friendly with just about everybody you can imagine. There was no reason to imagine that he wasn't someone of interest to people.
Yeah, was he friendly though, or was it business? Like, let's be real. Let's be so for real. And I believe he's the guy that said that he only worked with billionaires. He wouldn't work with anybody that had less than $1 billion. Something to that effect. And that pretty much everything was business, you know, so think of that, make of that what as you will. Yeah, exactly. She's upset she got caught. She's upset that she got roped into it and, you know, had to face the consequences of it. Not that that she'd harmed anybody or that he'd harmed all these people. No idea you're saying. What do you... Trump did the same thing, the same place, and they both should be... I mean, you know, I don't know if we could really say too much about a sitting president without it being a risk, you know, but he did have a pretty close relationship with him all through the 90s and early 2000s, and the only reason he distanced himself from him publicly was because of the arrest in 2000, I think it was 2008. But that didn't mean they didn't still have a public relationship, and it was Ghislaine that was getting all the girls from Mar-a-Lago anyway, so he was like, oh, well, Epstein's not allowed here anymore, so yeah, we nipped that in the bud, but Ghislaine was still there recruiting girls. Like, Virginia was recruited from Mar-a-Lago, from Trump's country club, and Golf and Country Club, and Epstein's mansion was like 4 minutes up the road. That's from jail, yeah, that's from jail, Shy. So I mean, I don't know what to think about that. So, like, because people are saying that he has been revealing the trafficking networks and that he's been doing good work on that on one hand, but on the other hand, you know, maybe he's just getting rid of the competition the way that the DEA did with, you know, all the cocaine operations that they ended up seeming to be a part of back in the day, the whole war on drugs, but it was just war on the other people selling the drugs so they could take it over, you know, allegedly, supposedly, maybe, I don't know. I may be just crazy talk, who knows what I know. Do your own research, draw your own conclusions. But, yeah, so I don't know. Like, there's a reason the files aren't being released. Like, that was part of the promises, that's what was supposed to happen. And nothing's being done, nothing's coming out about it, so, see if there's anything new in some of these reports that we don't know already, and then I'll maybe see if there's a couple more clips. But I think the news is out, you know. I think we've kind of covered the main part of it. Last night at her farm, she lost her life after a lifetime. Fierce warrior in the fight. She was 16 when she was recruited by Ghislaine to work for Epstein. The pair groomed her and forced her against her will with Epstein and his friends as part of an elaborate enterprise, which she escaped in 2002. They had traded her and shared her with rich, powerful men, including Prince Andrew, who has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. She spoke out on X, saying, "My soul yearned for justice for years, and today the jury gave me just that. I'll remember this day always, having lived the horrors of Maxwell's abuse. My heart goes out to the many other girls and young women who suffered at her hands and whose lives she destroyed." She continued, "I hope that today is not the end, but rather another step in justice being served. Maxwell did not act alone. Others must be held accountable. I have faith that they will be." In 2021, she claimed that Prince Andrew had forced her against her will a few times, 3 times between 1999 and 2002. In London, New York, and on a private Caribbean island owned by Epstein. We're not even going to say it anymore. Little St. James, say what the island is. In a previous statement, she had said, "I'm holding Prince Andrew accountable for what he did to me. The powerful and rich are not exempt from being held responsible for their actions. I hope that other victims will see that it's possible not to live in silence and fear, but to reclaim one's life by speaking out and demanding justice." They reached an undisclosed settlement. In 2019, in an interview that was said that she was brought to London by Epstein in 2001. The teenager was introduced to Prince Andrew and along with Epstein and Maxwell was taken to Tramp nightclub where she said the royal got her a drink and asked her to dance in a VIP section. He's the most hideous dancer I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was horrible. And this guy was sweating all over me. Like, his sweat was like it was raining basically everywhere. I was just grossed out from it. But I knew I had to keep him happy because that's what Jeffrey and Ghislaine would have expected from me. Yeah, and that's the problem, too. You know, they're rich and they're powerful, but some of them are the most disgusting human beings known to man. And, they just go and pay for this stuff, and then they think that because they've paid, it's like they can just do whatever they want and have their way with people. He addressed the relationship with Epstein and Giuffre's allegations. I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady, none whatsoever. It just never happened, except there's pictures of them together. It never happened. It never happened, but there are pictures of them together. Like, right here. Where was it? Oh, who's that? Who's that? Who's this? Who's this? Never met her. Never met her. Never met her. Okay? Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. He suggested that the photo was doctored and told the BBC that the photo is genuine and gave them the original to the FBI in 2011. He refuted her allegations, saying he wouldn't have known where the bar was to get her a drink and that he had a condition that meant he didn't sweat. So he's more worried about, oh no, I never bought her a drink and I didn't sweat all over her. More worried about his own ego and his reputation that way rather than, no, I didn't force myself on a teenage girl. That just goes to show you where their fucking heads are and how selfish they are. I cannot sweat, and I don't even know where the bar was. I didn't meet her. No, I did not force myself on her. Like, come on. Are we... Let's get with the program here, guys. Like, what the fuck? the audacity of some people. Okay, a lot of this is just paraphrasing the original, whoever broke the news first. That's the problem with the news. Sometimes it's like there's not really new information in any of the other articles. They're kind of just repeating it. And I guess that's what I'm doing right now, too. I'm kind of just echo chambering what the breaking news is. She alleged years of abuse before being passed around like a platter of fruit amongst his powerful associates, which this is kind of what a lot of survivors claim, like with the Diddy parties, with, you know, a lot of these elite level enterprises. Interview with Andrew was the worst interview ever. It was obvious he was lying and super scared. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find that one. It's gonna be hard to find any other clips. I think right now it's all gonna be the same situation. Yeah. But I mean, we know that there's a lot of weird stuff going on with the royals and who they spend time with. It's like there's no secret there. Like King Charles now, I guess it was Prince Charles before, but King Charles was super close with Jimmy Savile. If you don't know about Jimmy Savile, look him up and you'll know. You'll know really quick. Doesn't ever involve incident involving... Alright, I found it. Here we go. I don't remember this. Duke of York told BBC that he's racked his brains but cannot recall any incident involving Virginia, who has said that she was forced 3 times. Whether or not he could have had... There was no way he could have had any relations with Miss Roberts or any woman trafficked by a convicted... Yeah, so just denying everything. I mean, obviously, they're going to try to get away with it, so they're not going to just admit to it, but it's funny that he was mainly worried about the reputation of him being called sweaty and a horrible dancer and all that, right?
So if Virginia Roberts...
Okay, let's make this a little bigger here. A little louder.
Is watching this interview. What is your message to her?
I don't have a message for her because I have to have a thick skin. If somebody's going to make those sorts of allegations, then I've just got to have a thick skin and get on with it. But they never happened.
For the record, is there any way you could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences?
No. And without putting too fine a point on it, if you're a man, it is a positive act to have sex with somebody. You have to take some sort of positive action. And so therefore, if you try to forget, it's very difficult to try and forget positive action. And I do not remember.
Are you freaking for real, dude? That even if you forced her, it would be a positive action, so you would remember. Like, are you fucking kidding, dude? Oh my god, is this really what's coming out of his mouth right now? Oh, it's a positive action, so I wouldn't forget. And it's not like people don't drink and do other things and that will cloud their judgment, cloud their mind. That's what he's saying. It's because it would be a positive thing to remember that I forced her. She's claiming that he forced her, so he's saying, oh, it would have been a positive thing for me, and if it was positive, I would have remembered. You'd think I would remember if it was positive. Are you positively sure that you don't remember forcing yourself? That you were, that you don't remember because it would have been a positive thing, and you don't remember the positive memories of forcing yourself upon her? Like, does he even realize what he's being asked? Does he even realize? Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
But anything. I've racked my brain and thinking, oh, well, when the allegations came out originally, I went, well, that's a bit...
So it was an awful experience for her, and she remembers it quite clearly, but it would have been a good situation for you, but you don't remember it, and that's your defense. That's your defense. I'm sorry. I just I've never seen this clip before, and this one's really got me a little bit. Holy shit, what a freaking guy. Here, I'll go back a little bit. I was going to talk in the middle of that. Sorry.
Oh, well, when the allegations came out originally, I went, well, that's a bit strange. I don't remember this. And then I've been through it and through it and through it over and over and over again. And no, nothing. Never happened.
Never happened, because he didn't remember, so it just never happened. He thinks it would have been positive. Had I forced myself on her, it would have been a positive experience, and I think I would have remembered. It's pretty much what he's freaking saying. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So mostly we already kind of read this stuff. Yeah, I guess she had kidney failure. She was in pretty dire straits after that accident too. So like, as if she wasn't already going through enough, you know? I don't want to. Can you guys still hear me? The internet's doing something funky. Hold on. It's saying it's disconnecting. But I think we're still on. so I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to touch anything. I think we're still on. Can you guys hear me? Now I can, but before you couldn't? Yeah, I was doing something funky. You can hear now? Okay, okay, good. Yeah, it was trying to disconnect. It was doing something funky there. You can hear? You can hear? Okay, good. Good. Okay. Yeah, what the heck? That was kind of weird. The timing, too, is like, it doesn't want you talking about it. We're getting too close to the truth. Oh, here's another one that maybe we should check out. Hold on. I think this is the same interview, but it's like a longer
fallout growing
version.
the fallout growing.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to get these tweets going. I'm gonna play this other clip for you guys. Just 1 sec.
From that interview with Prince Andrew, answering questions for the first time about his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Eva Pilgrim has that story for us. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Robin. This whole thing is highly unusual. It's rare you see interviews with the royal family in any circumstance, let alone on something like this. And this interview sparking an immediate firestorm. One UK paper calling the prince entitled and obtuse.
Backlash this morning. Prince Andrew speaking publicly for the first time about his relationship with now deceased multimillionaire and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Do I regret the fact
Oh, can you guys can't hear me? Shit. Sorry, guys. So yeah, this is a longer version of the interview we were just watching, so I'm gonna run that through. Yeah, my mute button's a little weird. The internet's being a little weird. They definitely don't want us talking about this, I guess. Apparently, whatever. It's the spiritual digital warfare thing happening here, or it's just my internet and my shit being a little messy. But that's okay. We're making it work. So I'm gonna play this through, and then instead of trying to load up the tweets on onto like a slideshow thing, I'll just bring up Twitter and we'll just scroll through together. But it's good to have them backed up and archived too anyways, so that was really smart, Sentinel. I appreciate it. And if we end up going deeper, it'd be good to have the actual images too to go through. But yeah, no volume still. Sound's gone again. You should be able to hear me. You should be able to hear me now. Or is it just the frickin' someone trying to silence us? Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, the internet's being a little funky right now. We're gonna just keep going. We're just gonna keep going. We got this. It's happening. Alright.
that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming. He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender.
I'm being polite. I'm gonna be polite. I'm... Fucking guy. This guy is kind of an airhead.
But no. Was I right in having him as a friend at the time? And bearing in mind this was some years before he was accused of being a sex offender. I don't think there was anything wrong then.
Prince Andrew, Queen Elizabeth's second son and eighth in line to the British throne, telling BBC's Newsnight he has no regrets about his friendship with the businessman.
Now, still not. The reason being is that the people that I met and the opportunities that I was given to learn, either by him or because of him, were actually very useful.
In 2008, Epstein.
I cannot even believe this fucking guy. Oh, it was a great business relationship. I learned a lot from him, and I benefited from him a lot, so I don't regret it at all, even if he was an offender. Yeah, that's very royal family of you. That's very King Charles of you, and his relationship with Seville. Like, holy shit, man. This is like, I cannot even believe what he's freaking saying right now. Like, where's his publicist? Like, I'm sorry, but did nobody talk to this guy ahead of time and prepare him? Like, I know obviously he's the bad guy, and we don't really need him to be saying the right things anyway. It's kind of just showing us exactly the kind of person he is. But, like, what? Yeah, we're going to invite him to tea and be polite because he was your friend and he helped you in business and life and taught you things. Doesn't matter that he's a total friggin' predator. You don't regret that. We don't regret the business and the friendship and the, oh my lord, Tundran.
Epstein was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor. In 2010, just months after Epstein's sentence ended, the prince was seen in this video obtained by the Mail on Sunday, appearing in the doorway of Epstein's New York home. While he admits he stayed there for 4 days, he now says he came to end their friendship.
Are you sure? Are you sure he's the black sheep of the family? Because it seems like it runs in the family. Like, with between Prince King, whatever, Charles. Charles was right in there like a dirty shirt in his own fuckery. And we had young boy falling out of the Buckingham Palace window trying to escape. Oh, Lord. I think if they all fit right in together.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay. I've gone through this in my mind so many times. At the end of the day, with the benefit of all the hindsight that one could have, it was definitely the wrong thing to do. But at the time, I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do.
So it was fine until he got caught. We didn't think anything of it. It was all fine until he got in trouble and he had to take accountability. Then, in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have spent time with him because now he's caught and it makes me look bad. Now I'm sorry. Now, in retrospect, it's not a great thing. But, like, oh my freaking God. Yeah, literally, where's this dude's publicist? They need to be fired 2 times because he's looking like an idiot. But again, though, like, that's just showing exactly the kind of people that, you know, these higher-ups, they just don't care. They're not looking at it like there's all these victims and how their lives are affected. They're like, oh, well, you know, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have spent the weekend there, but he taught me lots of great business and, you know, I had a lot of fun with him, so I don't regret that friendship at all. Not even thinking about all of the lives destroyed and all the victims in the pathway of it. Like, whether he's guilty or not, like, that's so... there's, like, complete lack of remorse and empathy there. Yeah, exactly, Sentinel. You nailed it. You nailed it to the wall.
59-year-old maintains that despite multiple visits to several of Epstein's homes, he never saw any indication of unlawful conduct involving underage girls. Virginia Roberts Giuffre says she was one of Epstein's teenage sex slaves. In court filings, Giuffre claimed Epstein ordered her to have sex with some of his powerful friends, including on 3 occasions, Prince Andrew, twice when she was just 17. All accused have denied the allegations.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
The prince categorically denying he ever had sex with Giuffre. As for this now infamous picture of the two together, the prince says he doesn't remember it being taken and says it could be a fake.
From the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. So it's very difficult to be able to prove it. But I don't remember that photograph ever being taken.
And
Oh shit, it happened again. Sorry guys. Like, what's she getting out of it? You know, like, I could guess, you know, I get what he's saying because it's like a photograph of a photograph, but it's like when they put it into the files, they're scanning it and putting it into the exhibit of like the filing documents, right? But if the FBI has the official original, like not a Polaroid, but what are they called? Like just film developed photos. Like before, you used to have film developed, and you go send it to the office, to the photo development place, and then they would print it off, and it was like the originals from the negatives, right? So it's not like they had AI and they had Photoshop back then to fake it. And like a young woman, what would she have to gain by faking it? By faking a photo of them together, because she's gonna plot in 20 years to do something about it. Like, yeah, it just doesn't even make sense. He's like, I don't know who his lawyer was or who his publicist is, but they're just not. They're fired. I think they should be fired.
Andrew claims that on the date of one of their alleged encounters, he was with his daughter.
On that particular day, I was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party.
Why would you remember that so specifically? Why would you remember a Pizza Express birthday and being at home?
Because going to Pizza Express in Woking is an unusual thing for me to do. A very unusual thing for me to do.
Okay, sir. Oh my good lord. Okay, so we remember that we went there for pizza in the daytime with our daughter, but that doesn't mean you weren't somewhere else at night. Doesn't mean you didn't jump on your private jet and take a flight and were somewhere else in the nighttime. And the day could be a different day. They're like, well, on that day, I was doing this in the UK, which would be like tomorrow, right? But that doesn't mean the night before, you know what I mean? Like, the timeline, it doesn't mean that has anything to fucking do with where you were when, like, on that day. Doesn't mean you weren't there later that day. Doesn't mean you couldn't do both. Two things can be true at the exact same time. And it's interesting that he said, oh yeah, Pizza Express. It's not common. It's not common. Like, there's just, I can't even unpack it. I'm sorry. It's not even a laughing matter, but I'm just like, oh man, I didn't realize he was this ridiculous. Like, I've read into this stuff and I've looked in, like, I more prefer to read about stuff and read up on stuff than to watch videos. But when it comes down to actually making the video, you know, I'll find clips and stuff that go with whatever I've read and everything I understand about it, right? So some of this stuff, I haven't even seen this. I'm very familiar with the case and I'm pretty familiar with, you know, all of the different aspects of it. But this, like, these clips, like, I have not seen these clips yet before, and I am just at a loss for words yet again. And yeah, that's the thing, that it's like there's code. That's code as far as to my understanding. Like, hot dog, $65,000 hot dog party at the White House with Obama's. You know, that doesn't sound like, it doesn't make sense, you know. So it sounds like they're talking about something else possibly. And the whole pizza thing, cheese pizza, and you know, they have all their different sayings, right? So it's not funny. It's not funny at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of floored by how spectacularly stupid these fucking people are, and yet somehow they still get away with the shit. And then who's paying for it? Like, where do the royals get all their money? They get it from everybody paying their money, like the Commonwealth, Australia, Canada, all these countries that they own territory in, and we pay them. We pay them money. So it's basically our tax dollars go to paying these fucking people. And when they do fuck shit like this, and it's our tax dollars that go to pay off these victims, and this guy's off scot-free. Like, it doesn't mean anything to him. He's like, oh, whatever, Grandma will pay it for me. I don't care. Grandma's gonna dig into the rainy day fund. Like, because to them, $1 million is nothing. They're sitting on hoards of gold and stolen artifacts from pillaging the villages for fucking decades. Like, it's no consequence to them. It's like taking out their little penny purse, Grandma's penny purse, and here's a few $1 million. Here, we settled it. Go away now. Just forget about it. This is the cost of your soul. Holy shit. Sorry, I'm getting a little worked up. This is like just fucking believable.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating.
Well, and here's the thing too. It's like, okay, so were you at the pizza place with your daughter at like 11 o'clock at night at the same time as you would be when you'd be at a club with a young woman? Like, you're at the pizza place till midnight, and then you turned into a pumpkin, so you couldn't go do the pizza place with your daughter, put her to bed, and then go to a fucking club with young women later? Like, I'm sorry. Where does that make sense? Please make it make sense. Somebody, for the love of Lord Tundran.
He went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, because
I had a medical condition, so I didn't sweat. I couldn't sweat at the time. I do sweat now, but then I didn't sweat. I had a medical condition that meant I couldn't sweat. I'm sorry. I call bullshit. That is the most bullshit of the bullshit of all bullshit. Like, to end all of the bullshit. My good God. He is the Prince of Bullshit.
Because I had suffered what I would describe.
Prince of Bullshit, Duke of Liaria.
At the time. Because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at, and it was almost impossible for me to sweat. And it's only because I have done a number of things in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to do that again.
Now, one person coming to Prince Andrew's defense, his former wife, Sarah Ferguson, writing on social media, "I am with him every step of the way." Robin.
Eva, thank you very much. And joining us now is Emily Maitlis. She is the presenter for BBC Newsnight who conducted that interview with Prince Andrew. Emily, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We know that these accusations, that these accusations against the prince have been around since about 2015. Why do you think he decided to do the interview with you now?
My sense is that there were...
Yeah, like, I'm sorry for laughing. None of it's funny. None of this is a laughing matter, but how ridiculous this guy's statements is a little bit funny. Like, if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. You know what I mean? Like, it's just retarded that this is what they can get away with saying, and like, this is just accepted. People just accept this story. Like, oh, okay, you had an adrenal problem, so you couldn't sweat. Like, oh, you had overdose of adrenaline. Are you sure it was from getting shot at and not something else? Maybe. I don't know. You know, here's some rumblings about adrenals. You know. So, I don't know. Like, do your own research, draw your own conclusions. Like, not proven as fact. I might be crazy. Who knows what I know? I don't know. But, you know, there are some rumblings on the street about adrenal things. And that seems a little more realistic than, you know, you guys know. You guys already know. I don't even have to say it. You already know what I'm thinking.
Plenty of things that Prince Andrew wanted to be talking about, whether it was his work with digital entrepreneurs, his charitable work, his royal duties, and he wasn't able to get on with any of that whilst the questions surrounded him in terms of his friendship with Epstein and indeed some of his own sexual conduct. So I think when we saw the death of Epstein in August and saw the scale and breadth of his exploitation, his abuse, we started hearing from many of the girls at the time, the women, coming forward and telling their stories for the first time. There was an intensification. Certainly there was a sense that it was something that he wanted to address. And to be fair, he put himself through a full hour of scrutiny. It was no holds barred. There were no red lines around what we were allowed to ask. And I think he felt that if he submitted to fairly intensive, rigorous questioning from Newsnight, then it would clear the air and allow him to start talking about other things once and for all.
And you did. You were very direct with him and asked him questions, many questions that people wanted answered. But there is a question. Did the Queen, did she approve of her son sitting down for this interview? Do you know?
I wasn't told that directly, but I was told when we discussed it that he would have to seek higher approval, permission, and we waited 12 hours probably until that approval came. So my sense is that if he was Prince Andrew and he was seeking approval from on high, it's hard to imagine who else that would come from, if not from the Queen herself. Certainly the fact that we filmed in Buckingham Palace, in the South Drawing Room, right by the investitures. This is the Queen's entrance. This is the marble hall where a lot of the knighthoods, the awards are given out. It's hard to think that we would have been allowed to conduct that interview right in the heart of Buckingham Palace if Her Majesty the Queen hadn't, if not given permission, at least approved. You'll remember Diana, Princess of Wales interview a couple of decades ago. Now, that wasn't done anywhere near the palace. It was done in secret. It was done in a hotel far away, or away from London. And this was definitely done in the heart of the palace, of the royal establishment. So one has to assume that it came with a certain amount of authority from the Queen herself.
You would think so?
Yeah. I mean, or like somebody that was an advisor to the Queen or whatever. There was some publicity, PR people or whatever. But yeah, I guess it probably just doesn't really matter who he needs approval from. But like he went ahead and did it, but it kind of seems like she's trying to backpedal and kind of like cover his ass a bit. Like, oh yeah, we put him through some grueling questions, a whole hour of these grueling questions that he could barely answer or give legitimate answers for. The poor guy. That shows he's not guilty, because he came and answered questions for a full hour, one whole hour. So painstaking. What a royal pain in his ass.
So, and a final question. Your take on the reaction to your interview with the Prince?
It's been quite overwhelming, to be honest. It's been, as you can imagine, quite a weekend. That we've been on a sort of adrenaline high at the moment, and I think there has been a lot of poring over what he's said and what he meant and all the new information that's come out. I mean, this was the extraordinary thing for us. The level of detail he went into, the new threads, the new leads, the places that he's sort of sent us for sort of further inquiry or investigation. But my sense is that
I find it interesting that they keep using the word adrenaline and adrenal. That seems kind of interesting to me. Maybe I'm nuts. Maybe I'm a little bit of a cynic. Maybe it's getting a little dark in these rabbit holes, and I need to come up for air a time or two. But it was an adrenaline rush because you got to talk to royalty. He might have forced himself and forced himself on young women and or trespassed against children. But what an adrenaline rush! What a rush! What a peak of my career! I think I got a promotion because of it. And while he's sitting there saying he didn't regret being best buds with a freaking rabbit tunnels. The rabbit tunnels, and they all open one big cavern. One big underground freaking... I'm just getting fired up. This is just making me a little fired up now. I was sad. I started this sad. Now I'm pissed off. A little bit.
Of detail he went into, the new threads, the new leads, the places that he's sort of sent us for sort of further inquiry or investigation. But my sense is that when people step back from this and say, actually, what you got here was something remarkable, because you'll know as well as I do that we speak to a lot of bland interviewees over the course of our morning's work, our evening's work, a lot of people who are PR'd to distraction so that they say nothing, they reveal nothing. Their whole intention of coming on is to give very little of themselves. And I think people might step back from this when the headlines have died down and say, well, you got Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, at his most authentic. He might not always have used perfect words. I think there's probably some language in that interview he himself has pointed to that he would do differently if it were again. But you definitely got an unvarnished interview. And I think in today's world, that's something that we as journalists should be pretty grateful for, actually.
The fucking mental gymnastics and the PR gymnastics that she's doing right now, like, wow. Complete acrobatics of, like, to be... I have no words for that. That's like legit PR acrobatics, trying to be like, oh yeah, it was such a great interview. It was so blah, blah, blah. And like kind of just praising him in a way. Meanwhile, she knows good and well. She knows good and well. Yeah, no, she's just super happy that it's like the highlight of her freaking career. Oh, I talked to a royal. I talked to a royal for a whole hour, even though he made an idiot of him freaking self. And didn't, like, totally brushed over the fact that there were trespasses and harm against young women and children. Because he didn't regret his friendship. And he couldn't even sweat. Did you hear what he said? He couldn't sweat. Is like basically what this lady's saying. Like, she's like, yeah, and he gave so many details. He knew exactly where he was at the pizza place with his daughter before he went to the club and sweat all over this fucking young woman. Like, come on. Young girl, even, because I think she was still a teenager then. I'm so impressed with the royal predator. Potentially, allegedly, predator. Oh my good, I don't even want to hear what else she has to say. I'm over that interview already. I'm so over it. I'm going to see if there's some interviews with Virginia, because I think that we're here for Virginia, and I think we've heard enough from these fracking, they're just pissing me off, and that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to have a nice little, do something nice here for fucking Virginia. Let's try to have a nice little memorial and remember her for what, the good that she did. Kind of like a tribute, I guess, in a way, but not, because I think it's important too that we highlight everything else that's going on with this. But my good Lord,
this is everything.
Okay, here we go. A group of the accusers detail in NBC News exclusive. Yep, okay. Yeah, let's go there. We'll go there. Let's highlight more of the victims versus these pinheads. Absolute freaking pinheads. My good God. In my opinion. And allegedly. And, you do your own research, draw your own conclusions. Because maybe I'm getting a little fired up and I'm saying too much here. I don't know yet. It's fine. We're fine.
The only solace for me is that when a group of people who have experienced trauma of this kind come together united against a common enemy, there's a very special bond between us all.
Yes. Yes. Unified by trauma for the sake of the kids still suffering. That's the energy we need. We need more of that energy. Because that's kind of what we're doing here, right? I know there's a lot of us in here that had some kind of trauma, whether it be in childhood or in adulthood or just prolonged, severe, adverse, some kind of trauma. We're all united by the trauma, and we're using it as fuel for the fire to make a change. We want to make a change. We want to see change. Unite for the kids. Yes. Love it. That's the energy we want. We don't need to keep getting fired up about these pinheads. Yes, Canagramma. I know, it is. It's so awful. It is so awful, but we're going to highlight these victims and the good things that they were doing, because going down that other rabbit hole right now is just going to drive me nuts.
A painful bond shared among these 6 women sitting together for the first time for an exclusive interview with NBC News.
I find it very comforting to be here.
Marika Chartouni, Anushka DeGiorgio, and Rachel K. Benavidez sharing their stories about Epstein for the first time on television.
I think the nature of this kind of abuse means that you're conditioned to be silent, to be isolated, secretive, and shameful.
I feel like, it was a big game for him. And we were the pieces of his game. And you're like, I'm just not going to say anything because that's what he told me to do.
The women all have familiar stories of grooming, promises, and then sexual assault.
I can relate to pretty much every person sitting here next to me.
Virginia Roberts Giuffre says Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her one summer when she was working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago. In her first broadcast interview, Virginia tells NBC News what she has previously alleged in court filings, that Epstein directed her to also have sex with a number of powerful men, among them Britain's Prince Andrew.
He was an abuser. He was a participant.
Virginia says she was 17 when this photo was taken with the prince in Maxwell's London townhome, next to the bathroom where she says he sexually abused her.
What happened? The first time in London, I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, let's dance together. And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey. And Ghislaine said he's coming back to the house. And I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein. I couldn't believe it.
Virginia says the abuse moved from the bathroom to a bedroom.
He wasn't rude or anything about it. He said, thank you, and some kind of soft sentiments like that, and left. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
She says Prince Andrew abused her 2 more times, once in New York in Epstein's mansion, and again at his Virgin Islands estate.
Prince Andrew, of course, denies that this ever happened.
The whole thing about the being polite, I think that he truly believes he didn't do anything wrong because I was polite, and I'm just trying to be polite about Epstein, and I'm just trying to be polite about XYZ. So it's okay because I was polite about it. I said thank you. So it's all good. It means that it was a positive experience, or whatever the hell he was fucking saying. Oh my good God. For all things holier. Yeah, I think he was being nice, so that's okay. That makes it okay. It wasn't a wrongdoing because he was being so freaking nice, right? Totally. At least he has manners. Yeah, exactly. It's all good. You were polite. You had manners, so, you went for tea after. You did a little British royal tea time after, so, it was so polite. I know, I do need to breathe. You're right. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me to breathe, because my goodness, this is boiling my blood. Well, this is it too, exactly. He probably doesn't believe that he did anything wrong, but obviously because it became a whole thing, he's like, well, I was polite, and I don't remember that, and it's never happened. But, because all of these people are lying. It's not them lying. It's not the perpetrators that are lying. It's definitely all of the victims lying, for sure, right?
He denies that it ever happened, and he's going to keep denying that it ever happened. But he knows the truth, and I know the truth.
What do you say if people think this is about money for you, that you're trying to get money and have gotten money?
Well, unfortunately, there's this horrible law called statute of limitations. My lawyer said the way to get Ghislaine Maxwell held accountable, the way to get Jeffrey Epstein held accountable, is through them saying I'm a liar, which I'm not. So it's called a defamation suit.
Like all others she's named, Prince Andrew has denied the allegations. Buckingham Palace telling NBC News in a statement, it is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts.
Where have we heard all that before, though, also? I did not have relations with that woman. I feel like that's what they all say. That's what they all say. It's all the same playbook. I feel like it's all the same script. Just over and over again. I did not have relations with that woman. But I was good buddies with the guy who did, and I don't have any regrets because he helped me in business. And I was eating pizza, and I can't sweat. I don't know how to sweat because oh my God. It's like hysterics. It's a little bit hysterical. It's so tragic. It's like Shakespeare right now. It's a hysterical tragedy. But not. It's just it's like full spectrum, so freaking tragic that it's okay, yep, we're gonna breathe. We're just gonna breathe.
Any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation. Maxwell has not been criminally charged and has repeatedly denied the accusations against her.
What does justice look like to you now?
Justice now is holding accountable the perpetrators that helped him and participated with him, and encouraging more people to come forward so we can try to put this puzzle together and understand how it happened. How did this happen for so long? How did he get away with it?
These are questions many of these women have asked, especially now after Epstein's suicide in jail, awaiting trial on child sex trafficking and conspiracy charges.
I feel let down, that he was able to commit suicide. Yeah, it was really upsetting.
They failed us before. Don't fail us again.
Exactly.
That's all we're asking. Take us serious. We matter. You matter. You matter and you matter. And for all the girls out there, you all matter too.
Yes.
Yeah, like Virginia was definitely like the leader for the group of the survivors. Like she led the charge. She kept them all feeling strong and giving them the foundation to step onto to join the cause, to fight the cause. You can really see that she's like stepped fully into that role of being the mentor and the leader for them, and fighting for them and speaking up for them. Yeah, somebody needs to check on the other women. They're all probably terrified right now. They're all about to go into hiding, and honestly, I really, really, really hope that it's that she's gone into witness protection and they've just faked her demise. I really, really hope that it's part of a program where she would go into witness protection. I'm really, really, really hoping that, because my goodness, this is so freaking sad. It's so sad if she really did end up getting taken out or had taken herself out.
Message to other possible victims of Epstein still waiting in the shadows.
Jeffrey thought that we were disposable and he threw us all away. And look who's still standing.
There's something about seeing the group of women together with those shared stories that is incredibly compelling, as is Virginia's story.
The image.
Yeah, they were a pretty united front, but then obviously, they go back to their lives and they're doing their thing, and you just never know what kind of danger could still be lurking, because for the most part, everything's been done, and Ghislaine is in jail and the whole thing, but I guess, obviously they're still looking at trying to convict some of the other people that may or may not have been involved. So I guess there's a chance that she was a threat. So it's she's never safe. You're never safe. You take off and you go all the way over to Australia and start a new life for yourself with your kids. And it's there's just no escape from it. No matter how hard you try to do the right thing and you try to do the good thing. It's just so sad. It's just so freaking sad.
Well, the BBC has just aired an explosive interview with Prince Andrew's accuser, Virginia Giuffre.
Now, here with all the details is New Idea Royals commentator Angela Mullard.
Hi.
Angela, good morning to you. Now, this tell-all was shot before Prince Andrew's infamous interview. That's important to know. And Virginia wasn't shy on details about her first night with Prince Andrew. Let's take a look now.
He is the most hideous dancer I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was horrible. And this guy was sweating all over me. His sweat was it was raining basically everywhere. And I was just grossed out from it. But I knew I had to keep him happy because that's what Jeffrey and Ghislaine would expect from me.
So this is in stark contrast to what Prince Andrew claims.
It's complete opposite of what he's claimed. I mean, she's very credible. She's very detailed in it. She says that after that night they go back to Ghislaine Maxwell's house, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend slash madam, and that at that place they go upstairs, they have a bath, they go on to have very short-lived sex. He says thank you afterwards and leaves. So she doesn't feel at any time that she's embellishing it. She's very quiet and she talks through it in detail, but as I say, she comes across very credibly.
Now, Virginia claims she was forced to sleep with Prince Andrew 3 times and revealed startling details of her alleged second encounter with the Duke of York. Have a listen.
Having tea, and Andrew is talking about Fergie, which is his ex-wife at that point, and Ghislaine's bad-mouthing Fergie as well, and Epstein's just socially awkward, so I think he's just laughing about everything, and I'm sitting there like I was always told to do, is sit there, don't talk unless you're talked to, and be polite and laugh at everything that someone says when they're trying to be funny.
Okay, so as you say, quite specific. This seems quite careless. I mean, could be accused of many, many things, but at the very least, quite careless.
Quite careless to talk around someone that you've only just met, about your ex-wife, these sorts of details. And of course, living in London through the 90s, everyone was bringing newspapers to the story that I was, to the newspaper I was working with. So if he talked about Fergie, this woman could, so really poor lack of judgment at the very least from Andrew. But what I really thought about Virginia throughout this interview is that the anecdotes were so specific. They were very particular in their details. They didn't feel contrived or made up. They felt like, I have to say, that they were true.
She mentions that infamous photo which seemingly proved that they were together. And first, let's remind ourselves of what Prince Andrew said of this image.
From the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. That's me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, I have simply no recollection.
Okay, but Virginia
has a recollection. In fact, she says that the photograph, on the back of the photograph, because this is in the days, obviously, when you had to get them developed, that there's a date on the back of that photograph, and it's the 13th of March 2001, which was 2 days after she asked them to take the photo of her with Andrew. This was after they'd been to the nightclub and they went back to Ghislaine Maxwell's house, and that photograph was taken. What's also interesting is that Andrew's people didn't start investigating or looking at whether this photograph was fraudulent until just recently, whereas it came out in 2015. They didn't start looking at it then. So it's only as the allegations have gained more momentum that the palace has actually gone, it's even suggested that it might have been fraudulent. There was no suggestion of fraudulence at the time.
So the interview made mention of some inconsistencies in Virginia's story, and she admits that her memory may be just a little bit foggy. Can she afford to be inaccurate at any point here? Because there's a lot of people looking at this and digging very deep.
Look, I actually thought it was more credible that she did say that that there were inconsistencies, that she's trying to remember, because it is a long time ago. What was interesting about the show is that there was another woman speaking on it who corroborated a lot of the things that she was saying, that the stories rang true when you place them against each other. And this is, of course, what's happening with the investigation in America, is that they've got multiple girls giving similar information, which is what led to Epstein being in prison in the first place. Now, that doesn't mean that Andrew is guilty at this stage, obviously, but there was enough evidence there to corroborate the story against Epstein, and hence why he was waiting trial on that. So look, I think what's really interesting also is there's a interchange. The night that Virginia speaks to the Mail on Sunday back in 2015, there's an email at 5:50 a.m. between Prince Andrew to Ghislaine Maxwell saying they need to talk about Virginia Roberts. Now, that's not come out before. Panorama, the program, has gone through all the paperwork, found this email. Now, to me, that email needs further discussion. What happened after that? There's so many questions unanswered, but it's just going to rumble. What happens next, I think, is critical.
Well, Virginia, is calling on the British public to support her. Let's take a look at what she said.
I implore the citizens in the UK to stand up beside me, to help me fight this fight, to not accept this as being okay. This is not some sordid sex story. This is a story of being trafficked. This is a story of abuse. And this is a story of your guys' royalty.
And what happens here? What is the...
I honestly don't think anybody knows what would be happening with their kids yet. Like, this literally just was reported like 2 hours ago. So I don't think there's any information about what would happen with their kids right now. I would assume they'd stay with one of the parents, like the husband, or with family would be my assumption.
Palace do with all of this? Do they respond? Do we hear from them on it?
Well, who knows? Look, Andrew's given 2 statements already. He's given the interview. None of that has done him any favours. I mean, if you were the Queen right now, I'd be, as his mother, calling him in and going, I need to know the honest truth here. There's just so many inconsistencies. And what does happen next? There's a lot of talk about the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman that was working in cahoots with Epstein and was his girlfriend and was the one that was procuring these girls. And this is what's really interesting about Virginia Giuffre, is that she was a very vulnerable, sexually abused as a child, young girl. They latched on, as she tells it, they latched onto her vulnerability. And Epstein was procuring girls from schools and things like that. So look, it's a really grubby, really dirty story. It's not going to go away. Look, there's some suggestion that if Andrew steps foot in America, he would be subpoenaed, because 5 girls there have in their witness statements insisted that he be subpoenaed. So interesting to see what he does next.
Just a point.
It's kind of like so similar to the Diddy thing too. Like, no wonder they're trying to discredit and silence survivors, because otherwise people would see the consistency. So they would see that certain stories line up. They would see that there's a pattern. They would see that there was, you know, an MO. I don't know if that's the right word. That might be only in homicide cases, but like the certain patterns of the way that people behave, or the things they say, or the things that they prefer in sexual preferences, things like that. You know, like there's certain things that there, you know, you could see that there's consistencies. There's consistencies in a lot of the minors in the Diddy case coming up, and what they're saying and how they were taken advantage of, and what they were promised and what that led to, and XYZ, you know. So no wonder there's so many efforts to distract and discredit, you know. It's all the same. It's all the same thing, really, in a way.
Point out to everybody at home as well, this is the BBC Panorama show, which is highly credible and is in fact the show that Princess Diana chose to speak to when she made that infamous "there are three people in this marriage" comment. That was the Panorama show.
It's a very celebrated, credible show. And look, I'll tell you about this. One thing about this show, it's not just sticking a microphone in front of a girl. What they've done is they've forensically gone and looked at the evidence around this. They've cut and spliced vision of Epstein and things he said. Look, it's a very convincing, it lands very convincingly on the side of Virginia from my perspective.
All right, Ange, thank you very much for that.
Thanks.
More to come, for sure.
For sure.
Okay, let me, maybe watch a couple more clips in a bit, but I think I'm gonna, bring up the Twitter here. Just give me 1 second. Let me do it this way, 1 sec. So we're not getting all this other noise. I think it's interesting too that she had chosen the butterflies on her pictures on her Twitter here. If you've read into some of the human experimentation between the 40s and the 70s, and you know about that there are allegedly certain types of programming, and the monarch and other butterflies can be symbolism of that. There being something underlying there. See how far this will let us go without having to log in here. So yeah, like I was saying, the butterflies kind of seems interesting to me. Yeah, both the profile picture and the here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna try to make this even bigger. I'm just gonna zoom right into the main content here. There we go. So yeah, a couple different ones. They're two different kinds, but the blue, it's not exactly like the monarch, but still. It looks like she hasn't really been posting though. Like, she kind of got off the grid. It's like, my job is done and I'm moving on now, you know, and I'm gonna just do my life. I wonder if she'd. Oh, it's not gonna let me. Okay, that's okay. We're just gonna go down. We'll go down the way here, but if you guys want to check it out, this is her handle. I'll drop it in the chat as well if you guys want to do your own deep dive here. Yeah, there's the links for that. Grateful for the judge for her decision to unseal these depositions. The journey of justice has taken decades for my fellow abuse survivors and me, including years in which our voices were ignored. Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein did not act alone. Did I take a good look at the final picture? Which final picture? Oh, like from the accident? I mean, it's always a chance that, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. You really never know how they're trying to shape things and what really is happening, you know, because this seems like such a bad thing. But if she's going into witness protection because they're getting ready to start taking down more big people, and for her own safety, if they've had her fake her death and she's gone into that program, then that could be a really good thing. But as it stands right now, from what we're being led to believe, it's pretty damn tragic. Yeah, she didn't look great, but I think there were videos of her afterwards, after the fact, like, and she seemed like everything was all right. So, I mean, I don't know. And who knows if that was just a distraction and they were getting prepped for us to all be like, oh, well, she was already gone. Like, it's no shock, really, you know, for some people. Because they were already kind of thinking, you know, that she was going. Like, they kind of prepared everybody, do you know what I mean? Jane Doe 102 in the Jeffrey Epstein case. I just want to say a huge thank you to all the supporters and survivors. So this is all the way back, yeah. It's just giving highlights. My soul yearned for justice for years, and today the jury gave me just that. Yeah, they're kind of all mixed up. But it's giving us an idea here. Having lived with the horrors of Maxwell's abuse, my heart goes out to the many other girls and young women who suffered at her hands and whose lives she destroyed. I like that she's putting emphasis... Oh, it's not going to let me. It only lets you go so far. That's okay. I like that she's putting emphasis on the role that Ghislaine put in and was part of it. Because, like, obviously she was gonna try to be, like, the victim, as if she was also a victim, right? But she definitely was in there like a dirty shirt. Like, Ghislaine was benefiting and enjoying it just as much, you know, from my understanding. I hope that today is not the end, but rather another step in justice being served. Maxwell did not act alone. Others must be held accountable. I have faith that they will be. So there were more people that she was looking to bring down, and she already did quite a good job with bringing down Jean-Luc Brunel, Epstein, Prince Andrew to such a way. I mean, he ended up just being able to pay a settlement and be done and over with it, but like that was throwing a pretty big wrench into that little group of people. So who knows who else is going to come up, and you know, if she's not able to act as a witness or to keep rallying the other survivors. I just don't know. But I guess the main thing is we need to just keep asking questions, and more than ever, like already there was some pressure in that last video I posted of Ali's update saying like, let's do something about it, and it was a message to Pam Bondi, so if people can forward the message and kind of put her on blast, and just anybody that's any level of power, any of these people, like we just need to start putting them on blast about wanting answers and wanting things to get sorted out, to get the truth coming out, you know, and to start getting more of these people that were involved in this held responsible. But obviously there are accomplices, though. Like, it is pretty clear that there was more to it. With more transparency, I'm hopeful that all who helped perpetuate these heinous crimes will be held accountable. Interesting timing, though. If you think about how the timing of all of this started, like, it really makes you wonder if things in 2020 were really just to get everybody in panic mode and, like, distracted from some shit, because there were a lot of big people involved in this, and they didn't want people going into the streets and causing a ruckus, you know? You know, I'm almost thinking they might. I'm thinking that's what's coming next. Like, shit. All the evidence you can poke a stick at, and yet the justice system defends a known predator who just happens to be a prince. Anyone else would be thrown in jail. He knew I had no choice. He knew I was being trafficked and gifted to him. Nothing's all right. Running out of hope. Is Ghislaine Maxwell the most wanted woman on the planet? I'd like to think so, but also there's a part of me that knows her so well that this would be complimentary to her vain, mysterious vision of herself. Lock her up already. Yeah. My story demonstrates what happens when victims speak out. We need to put an end to this type of victim-shaming culture and the ending of their lives. Like this one, right here, all day. This is simply part of the same systemic issues revolving around police reform. Many of us continue to be part of victim-shaming tact. Yeah. And the butterflies. Always the butterflies. So she was definitely, like, groomed and programmed. It wasn't just, you know... O'Keefe covering it. Another ABC News insider just leaked Project Veritas, the proposed date for the Epstein story that they've been sitting on for more than 3 years. Will ABC be showing Euroback that they had spiked? One time only. Yeah, and like Project Veritas started getting shut down, and they were putting out some pretty interesting stuff back then too. Like, and so many people were getting suspended and getting their getting deplatformed for such silly shit. Like, I'm starting to wonder this was all part of it, and it was nothing to do with the virus at all. Because, you know, the real virus, like one of the biggest viruses on the planet, is child trade and exploitation. It's $150 billion a year industry. It's the biggest industry on the planet, you know. There's a lot of big players in it, a lot of power players, a lot of people involved. So there's more than enough money to try to keep this stuff quiet and to pay off certain levels of the, you know, the judicial system. Sorry, I can't even talk. I'm tripping over it here, getting fired up again. Law enforcement, you know, any levels to that, you know, people can still be bought when you've got hundreds of billions of dollars. You have billions of dollars at your disposal. Should be survivor's choice when they're ready to speak out and hold perps accountable in an international pandemic. There it is, exactly, right there. She said it. She said it. International pandemic, over $100 billion a year industry, and if we all stand up together, we can win. Right there. Right there, guys. And that was then. That was then. And now it's $150 billion. So, like, things are ramping up real quick. They're getting hot. It's heating up. Things are getting crazy. Like, it's getting worse and worse and worse because all these people just keep getting away with it. So, like, if this is not, like, painting a picture for you that we need to do something. Memo to GM. How dare you play the victim card when you victimize me and countless others? You are vile, evil, sadistic creature, not even worthy of calling a human being. Hope the judge ruling over this laughs you out of the court and into jail. Well, they did. She did end up in jail, so that's good. Seen the video rooms. Every single room was being filmed. I've even seen some of the pics. Why are the feds taking so long with arrests? So it was the same as like the Diddy mansion. There were cameras everywhere. There's evidence everywhere. They know exactly who's guilty and who's not. Like, they know which people were interacting with children and who were just forcing themselves on other adults, which it's all bad. Obviously, it's all bad, but even more so when you've got little kids and kids that are ages that they don't even know English yet. Like, so they can't even express themselves that something wrong happened to them. Like, so I feel like that's a little bit worse. It's all bad, obviously, but like, you know, yep, absolutely, exactly, and a lot of survivor stories, it's the same, it's all the same, a lot of the same, you know, depending on the era of time, where like Kathy O'Brien's daughter and John Bonet had some parallels and similarities, and like Kathy O'Brien's father and John Ramsey had been on manifests together, going to the same certain islands, because there were islands long before Epstein, long before, you know, whoever is running islands right now. Because it's not just Epstein's island, you know, there's a ton of celebrities that own an island, and in international waters, it's like a lawless land. So why do you think all these people have yachts, and they go and they have their little islands, and like, what do you really think they're doing over there? You know? I think there's a lot more to this than what they want us to believe. Like, it's not just an Epstein thing. And a lot of people want to put all this focus on the Epstein flight logs and shit, like as if Epstein's the only one with the private jet, and that's the only way of conveyance to that island. It's not like all these people don't have boats and their own private jets, you know. So like, I get that. Yeah, we kind of want to know whose names are on what, but we would need manifests to any aircraft that had landed on that island. But it's a private island, so where are you getting it from? It's not like you go through customs the same as you would try and enter a different country, you know. And it's the Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Why do you think you call them that? Are we starting to friggin' understand here? And some of them, like, they have different tastes, right? People that have this affliction, they have different tastes. So certain people are catering to different, you know, they'll have a different taste and they'll sell a different thing. It's same with like drug dealers. Some drug dealers do cocaine and they sell cocaine. Some drug dealers do E and they sell E. Some dealers, you know what I mean? Like, then they usually run in the similar crowds. So Diddy's, it seems like he had a preference, allegedly, possibly, on the word on the street is that he had a preference for young boys. And there is some suggestion of that you could maybe put that together if that is in fact the truth. Again, can't say anything for sure until decided in the court of law, and hopefully the justice is served in that case. But you can tell there's differences in tastes, and like there's different crowds, like where with like Kevin Spacey and certain people there, they would run in same crowds. It was like Bryan Singer, and there was like the Digital Entertainment Network, and there was that whole mansion there, and Mark Collins Rector fled the country and got away. Basically, he was supposed to get indicted and go down for facilitating and participating in crimes against minors, and he just got away. And then nobody else that was part of that whole establishment and that whole organized situation got in trouble. Like, Bryan Singer's just upset that his reputation got messed up. Like, but he was this huge director, like the director of the X-Men and shit. And then you've got like what was it, like David Geffen, one of these big time music producers, and I think it was like for Interscope. I believe it's for Interscope, and if you look at Interscope's logo, it has some pretty interesting symbolism, and if you're somebody that looks into all the symbolism, have a gander. But David Geffen was one of the big investors. Bryan Singer was one of the big investors in this mansion, Digital Entertainment Network, Mark Collins Rector situation. And this guy, I think Paul Newman, might be Phil Newman, Neumann, I believe. And he was the former president of Disney. And they all were there for the young teen boys, or younger. There were allegations. There was all this stuff against all the other bigger players in it. Like, Bryan Singer had a bunch of accusations brought against him, and then there was really never any justice. Like, so this has all been going on for a whole long time. There were people before Diddy, there were people after Diddy. There's people before Epstein, people after Epstein. And yes, this gives us a chance to, like, really highlight the situation and get to the nitty-gritty of it and really get people looking at it. But, oh, that's interesting. Trump implicating Prince Andrew 5 years ago. Okay, we're definitely going to play that. But anyway, like, there's so much more to it, though. Like, these aren't the only people, and we need to be looking at the power players in that situation. We need to not just be looking at, okay, whose mansion is it, which street-level dealer has the trap house and the drugs. Like, you always want to look above that. You want to figure out who the distributors are. Where are they getting the drugs? Where are they getting, you know what I mean? And then who's buying them? Like, we're not just going to worry about whose house it is, because that's stupid. You know? It's all the same thing. It's not just about who, like... like, whether it's the Epstein case or the Diddy case or whatever, right? Like, let's look at who the big power players would be. Let's not let them keep distracting us and putting it under the rug and making us look at the fall guy, because Diddy's a fall guy, Epstein's a fall guy. All these people are literally, like I said, the street level dealer that has the trap house that people would go to buy the product, for lack of better words. You know, like, you guys get what I'm saying. And people need to start looking at it more of like, well, what it is. There's drug trafficking, and then there's what? What's the other kind of trafficking? And why would they both be under the same terms? Why would they be using the exact same term if it wasn't very similar? If there wasn't the guy that's the street, that's dealing it to the people on the street, and that's where the people come and they get it. But who's above that? Who's invested in that? Who's providing? Where are they all coming from? It's no mystery at this point, like, that they had all those, there's like that huge bust in Florida, right in the heart of Diddy land, and Epstein had a mansion in Florida, and like there was so much more going on there, but we don't have time for it tonight. But there was a huge child essay material ring that was busted. You don't think that some of all of that's been going on, all these different busts and all these different arrests that way, didn't have something a little bit to do with what was going on at places like the Diddy mansion? You know, where were all these kids coming from? You're not just going to necessarily have people with their parents that are totally cool sending their kids to parties. It's got to be kids from broken homes, or kids that just nobody's looking out for them, or they're from foster homes or whatever. Like, this is where all this alley stuff and all these other survivors, it all ties together in a way, and maybe not directly to the same case, but a lot of the way that they all operate, and the way these networks work, and the way that, like, one goes down, another one pops up. You know, so long as there's supply, so long as there's demand, there's going to be supply. And there's just going to be different ways to find it. You know, if people are out there, they're doing drugs, and their dealer gets arrested, you don't think they're going to just stop doing drugs? No, they find another dealer selling those same drugs. Like, it's the same difference. So this is why we need to really get on them to go after the big players. Like, who was investing with Epstein? Let's have a look and see what kind of billionaires he worked with, what circles he ran in. Let's start looking and demanding more answers. To demand that the files get released. You know, you've got survivors that are willing to have their files released to just at least highlight one part of it to prove that, okay, look what's really going on here. You know, and if people like Allie are willing to put themselves in danger and have to be on the run and sell everything and fucking put their life and everything in danger, because it's not even just your life. Some of the way these people are, like, would rather be dead than what they're going to do to you. Because some of them, you don't just go and get killed. They take you and there's like a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I don't want to give too many details. I don't want to traumatize the hell out of all of you on a friggin' Friday night, no less. Supposed to all be enjoying your nice weekend after a long week of working and all this, and now I'm driving down your throat about like almost lecturing you. So I do apologize, and we don't need to go too far into it tonight. The main thing was to report on Virginia and this tragic event. But there's so many common denominators. There's so many common threads. And it all, like, you got to follow the yellow brick road. It all leads back to someone, somewhere, somehow. There's certain power players in all of this stuff. Like, who were they providing the models to? And who was this Jean-Luc guy, you know, who was he connected to that was bringing the girls that were vulnerable and susceptible to manipulation and exploitation? Do you know what I mean? Like, it all goes up the line. Who else was complicit? You know, so there's the Florida bust with the child SA material, and then there was the bust that in California, as if you guys would watch the previous video with the Alley update, and some other videos, I've been just putting that clip anywhere I can find a spot to put it, just to highlight the point of thousands of children there's a settlement reached, like billions of dollars settlement for thousands of children that were in state care that were being SA'd or physically, emotionally, whatever, all these various types of abuse. You know, so if all of this is happening and all these busts are happening, that definitely gives a lot more credibility to all these survivors. You know, like this settlement's going back to the 80s, and this SA material ring, they were providing millions of images and videos for the cost of $100. That's how cheap it is now. Like, that's how much they've cheapened children's lives. Like, when you really think about it, how many distributors there must be for the value. You know what I mean? Like, we're looking back in the 90s, you were paying thousands of dollars for some of this stuff to get access to this stuff. When you look into the history of how these online rings worked and how people in real life, like how it all was working back in the day, the cost of it all and the high stakes and the risk that was involved to obtain certain types of children, and, like, you know, you look into the missing children's cases all the way back, and there's so many things that connect. But if you look at the cost of it and what the return was then versus now, you can pay $100 and get access to millions of different videos of children's being abused, basically. Like, they say CP or whatever, that used to be the term, a child P, you know, that word. We're not going to say it even, because I don't believe that phrase shouldn't even exist, because it's SA material. It's not, like, it's a completely different thing than what is consenting adults making videos, which even then, I don't think there's even that. That doesn't even exist. I have a strong belief at this point that most people that are in that kind of career path, I guess we could say, that it's not really their choice. That's just all they know, or that they were abused as kids, and it's just all they think that they're worth, you know? So there's just so many more layers to this that people need to start waking up to, because it's been going on for decades. There's enough factual evidence that we know this is going on, whether you want to believe any one specific survivor or any one specific victim, whatever you want to call it, any one specific whistleblower. You don't have to believe them all or their own stories, but you can believe that there are hard factual evidence situations that show that this is a big freaking problem. Right? Yes. See, you know about it. You guys know. You saw that. Okay, anyways, sorry, I'm like going on and on and on here. I'm going to play this Trump clip. We'll scroll down a bit more here, and then maybe we'll call it here soon, because it's already like it's almost like 1 a.m. And I don't know, I don't want to be keeping up you guys. I don't want to be a bad influence and be keeping you up too late. So there's more to discuss this weekend. There's going to be, you know, we can always pick this up again, either tomorrow or whenever. We don't have to go into it all tonight, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm going on a whole rant now. It's got me fired up and I'm pissed off, and it's nighttime. So now I'm like, ugh. Fuck these guys. Anyways, sorry. We'll get this clip going.
You think it was over the line?
Oh, we're gonna need to make it a little louder. That might be as loud as it goes. Hold on, we're gonna see if we can make it a little louder. You might have to crank up, or actually I can probably crank it up in here. One sec. Maybe that's as loud as it goes. Okay, well hopefully you guys can hear it. It's kind of a quiet clip, but we're making it work.
You think it was over the line?
I don't know because I don't know her, but it was nasty.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your... You think it was over the line?
I don't know because I don't know her, but it was nasty.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
You think it was over the line?
I don't know.
Interesting. I don't know what to think about that, though, because there's also clips of Trump. There's like that one clip of Trump saying that he thinks Epstein's a terrific guy. He's known him for 15 years, and he's a terrific guy. So I just don't know anymore. You know, it's like cognitive dissonance or whatever. We're getting narcissistically abused by the evil powers that be, is what's happening. There's all kinds of gaslighting and shit happening, and smoke and mirrors, and it's all theater. So I just don't know. Still waiting. As much as the people in Epstein orbit will say they will cooperate with the investigations, that's a lot of people. I've seen zero cooperation or remorse. No more Mr. Nice Guy. We're coming for you. See, she was like going full bat though. This is, you know. So I do think there's a good chance that she's maybe gone into witness protection. I really, really, really hope that. I would prefer that to be the truth versus what we're looking at here and what it seems like is going on. I just, finally a breakthrough. The evidence is insurmountable. Let evidence speak for itself. As a victim, I can only hope for swift justice and for her to feel the same pains she made me endure for years. Yes. Yes. See, she was like, she was on it, eh? She was all over it. The media in the UK are following the Queen's orders. Of course they are. Not my insiders. The pressure will be back on. Serves them right, trying to pull wool over the public's eyes with those ridiculous lies. Chubby fingers, pizza, can't sweat. Come on, my kids have better excuses. I couldn't agree more. Like, when we watched the right clips, I guess, before jumping into the tweets, that worked out very nicely. For winging it, this is coming together quite nicely. It's very cohesive. Like, legit, though. I was having pizza with my daughter, but it was at midnight. I was definitely having pizza with my daughter at midnight, and I can't sweat. Yeah, ridiculous. Ridiculous. We know the fear, we know the criticism, and I know that it takes every inch of morality to fight. This is no ordinary fight. I won't say names because it's your right to stay silent, but you know you have an army behind you now, and we can change the world together. Oh yeah, she was like rallying it. So no wonder they're coming so hard at Allie. Like, you don't think that some evil powers that be might be hiring people to come at her pretty hard? That it might all be theater? Are we starting to get it? Maybe, you know what, you guys probably in here already get it anyways. I don't need to preach to the choir. But, you know, it all makes a little more sense now, doesn't it? When you've got somebody that's speaking the loudest, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And that's getting people united and getting people fired up about it. So maybe I need to simmer down because I'm going to be a target if I keep going this way. Finally, we're hearing members of the U.S. government, senators, about the need for transparency and a call to arms for accountability. There's going to be a lot of nervous people over Christmas and New Year's, 170 to be exact. Who's on the naughty list? This wouldn't be possible without Judge Preska, Honorable Judge Preska. High fives for Judge Preska. 170 though, so there's 170 people aside from Epstein and Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell. And I mean, we have the black books, and if you cross-reference the black book with the flight manifest, that gives us a good idea of who a lot of those people may or may not be. I mean, like, it's not, you know, it's not rocket science. I mean, maybe you do need to be a detective to know for sure. We're not detectives, we're not judges, we're not lawyers or any of that, but I think that from what she was saying, and this was in 2023. I don't know why these. I guess probably because it's not logged in. So they're a little out of order, but let the unsealing begin. I hope so. I hope we get something freaking going on here sooner than later, because this is just, it's obviously been just going on and on and on and on. And people can keep trying to run, but they can't hide forever, you know? Okay, let's see if there's any more newer reports coming out. Any other little videos that we should maybe run through this evening. But I think otherwise, you know, I think that was pretty much covered the latest. And we can always come back and go deeper anytime. So actually, for winging it and kind of just throwing her together real quick, this didn't go too badly. I think we can maybe do more of these from time to time, depending what comes up. Alright, give me a sec. I'm going to try to find us something else here. Oh, Banfield.
It's breaking news tonight. I am in for Ashley.
I'm pretty sure this guy was like one of those Much Music guys way back in the day. I don't know. I could be wrong. He could be somebody else, but he looks like him. But I'm pretty sure that he was working with Law and Crime. He had his own sidebar on Law and Crime, and now he's with the News Nation. Or whatever this other... It's not Law and Crime anyways. And I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm just... When you see enough of this kind of crime videos, you start to get to know the different people and what platform they're from. I'm getting a little loopy. I'm kind of tired. I think I'm still making sense, though. That's the main thing. So yeah, we'll see if there is another couple newer news clips coming out. So we'll run through those, and then I think we pretty much covered everything, unless anybody else has any other questions, or there's anything that you're noticing that I should look into that's urgent for tonight to do with this. There's anything specific that I'm missing that should be mentioned in this segment. But I think that's enough darkness all at once. You know, I think we pretty much covered the main ins and outs of it. And like I said, yeah, we could always follow up tomorrow. But yeah, while we're all here and while we've got her going and it's all working, to just see if there's any new information since a few hours ago when we got her going.
It's breaking news tonight. I am in for Ashley Banfield, and we start on a very sad note. One of Jeffrey Epstein's most prominent accusers, Virginia Giuffre, has died. According to her family, this survivor of Jeffrey Epstein has died by suicide, and her family released a statement which reads, "It is with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Virginia was a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. She was the light that lifted so many survivors. In the end, the toll of abuse is so heavy that it became unbearable for Virginia to handle its weight." And it's interesting when you think about that statement, the circumstances surrounding her death. We're just taking that statement for what it is. We're still going to piece together exactly what might have happened here. But what we do know is that the 41-year-old died in near Gabby, Australia, where she had apparently been living for several years. As we've been talking about, she's one of the earliest, most outspoken accusers, not only of Jeffrey Epstein, but other high-profile individuals like Prince Andrew filed a lawsuit against him. Her survivor, but most survivors, again, they give credit to Virginia Giuffre for the strength to speak out. And as we...
Well, and then this is why there's like a one main specific target in these kind of cases, because like if there's the one leader that has inspired all of them to come forward and that does have, like, she's the one that's keeping them high spirits and keeping them rallied together. It's like the glue holding it together, you know? So it's like they don't even have to go after all the specific victims and witnesses in a case, because really just one situation like this can drive them off the course of it, you know, can spook them and have them scattering, you know. But yeah, no, definitely S86. She did lots of times, and so for tomorrow I'll put a few more things together as far as a presentation goes, because obviously I'm just kind of winging it tonight. But when we cover it again tomorrow or whenever, tomorrow afternoon probably, I guess we'll try to get it going. Might have to move some other stuff around, but yeah, she was very adamant that she was not looking to do herself in. And that's the similar situation that Allie's in right now. Like, people are wondering why she would be the target and why people would be coming at her and making smear campaigns and threatening her and all this stuff. Well, because she's the one rallying everybody together. She's the one that been speaking about it for the longest, the last few years, even before the arrests and the raids, right? So that her already being out there doing it, that's like, there's already the voice out there. So that more of the survivors and more of these victims started coming forward, especially after Cassie had come out and said things, and then there was that video and the whole thing, and then it all started coming together. And then the more voices, the more people are feeling safe to speak up, right? But then if you take out that one person that's like I said, like the glue holding it together, it's really all they need to do to silence a lot of them, Like, there's already people starting to back down because they got spooked because private investigators were tracking them down, and even like creators and stuff, people are getting tracked down and offered money to change their narrative and stuff. So it's like, there's so much more going on behind the scenes with a lot of this stuff that we never realized. But now, being in the age of information and people being able to be their own media, their own reporters, putting their own stuff online, like, they can't hide everything, right?
We know she was.
Is there something wrong with your head? She was abused as a child and groomed to become a sex object for people. She was vulnerable and manipulated and misled and made intoxicated and then traded and forced to service nasty, sweaty people. You think that she was about that? You really think she was into that? Yeah, I think you're not even getting a warning. You're just fucking off. You're fucking all the way off. Let's disrespect victims on the day that they fucking passed away, because that's really cool. That's really awesome. That's the kind of people we want to be, right, dude? That's the kind of dude you want to be? We want to disrespect victims on the day that they've died? Like, that's disgusting. Like, what the fuck kind of people, man? Wow. Nobody's talking about the car accident story. We're not even talking about that. And I thought there was some different fishy things about it too. That's not the point. That's not even what we're talking about either. So, you know what? I'm not even patient. I don't even have patience. People want to be disrespectful and victim shaming and blaming on the day that the woman was dead. It's a day of a woman's died, and people want to come here trolling, acting like fools. It's disgusting. That's fucking disgusting. You should be so ashamed of yourselves. Go upstairs. You're probably sitting in your mommy's basement, so why don't you go upstairs and tell her that you've done a shameful thing and that you need to be grounded for the rest of the year. You need all your toys taken away. Because it is so fucking childish and immature. Disgusting.
Was famously seen in this photo with Prince Andrew, his hand around her. Ghislaine Maxwell, look at her in the background. And I mentioned this before, I want to say it again, but when we think about the work that Virginia Giuffre did, she founded SOAR, Speak Out, Act, Reclaim. This is an organization whose sole purpose is to help the survivors of sexual abuse. I want to bring in right now Josh Giuffre. He's an attorney whose firm represents some of the Epstein victims. Josh, thanks for coming on. This is sad. Your initial reaction to this news, as we're still trying to piece together what exactly happened here, because she did have quite an impact on this conversation regarding Jeffrey Epstein and others.
Absolutely. The case wouldn't have existed without the input, her cooperation, her bravery at the beginning, inspiring so many other people to come forward. Remember, this is years and years in the making, and it wasn't all hidden behind the scenes. Like we think about, these were public prosecutions. These were issues talked about. These parties were attended by so many famous people. So it was really out in the open. But she inspired people to really come forward, and her loss will hopefully be a marker and almost an inspiration for people to calling attention to the epidemic that is sex trafficking, that is the international sex industry. This is an issue that still persists. It changes its form all the time, and it exists all around the world. This just happened to be a really prominent example of something that people are now seeing happens all the time.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and
Okay, let's see. See if they got another one or two new ones here, but I think, yeah, like I said, I think we basically covered everything that we need to for tonight anyway. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. So yeah, if you guys just have any questions or there's anything else that you guys think I should look into. Time out. Yeah, we're handing out timeouts. I got no time for warnings tonight. Like, we're going to be respectful of people that may or may not be with us anymore. I'm really, really, really hoping that she's just gone into witness protection or something to that effect. But, with what's reported that she's likely no longer with us, then it seems pretty disgusting to me that people want to come in here and be trolls and be hateful about it. Like, it's just gross. Like, where are your fucking... We got the friggin... What's his name? Prince Andrew's being more polite about... Fuck, like, I don't know. Like, this... I don't know. People are a little backwards, and it's a little weird. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, SC6. Definitely. Like, I was literally about to, like, chill out for the night, get some dinner, and go to bed, and then this came across the feeds. So, yeah, I could use some rest soon, and I gotta eat a proper dinner. I threw a quick sandwich into me while I was getting this prepared, but definitely, that's what I'm thinking. We can call it here shortly, and then we'll pick it up again tomorrow and go over everything again, or not again, but like go deeper into things, I should say. But yeah, if there was anything specific that we should go over tonight, let me know. But I think you guys are on the same page. It's already kind of late. It's been a couple hours, you know. I think we've covered a good amount. You're just hearing about... Oh, hey, Chris. Just hearing about this, but I suspect it may have gone when the other... Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of confusion and distraction and smoke and mirrors, you know, when they are trying to cover stuff up, so you can never really be too sure which is the truth and which is not. And like I said, I really, really am hoping that it's all just like distraction from maybe she's going into witness protection, because she was saying on the Twitter that there was like 170 other co-conspirators or other people that should be held accountable, besides Prince Andrew and Jean-Luc Brunel and Epstein and Maxwell. So, yeah, more developments to come, for sure. Yeah, and then we can all get some rest, because tomorrow's going to be even more nuts. There's going to be more up and down and back and forth about it, and probably some more updates to cover. So, yeah, you guys have yourselves a good night, and try to get some rest. I know this was kind of like heavy duty to try to listen to before going to bed, but try to have as good of a night as you can. And, yeah, just keep your eyes wide open, because there's going to be all kinds of stuff coming out that we don't really know for sure is the real thing, you know. But, yeah, thank you, everybody, for jumping on at such last minute, too. Like, kind of just threw it on when I got the news and took a few minutes, got everything together, and jumped on for it. So, you guys were pretty fast acting, and I appreciate everybody that's putting in their opinions and thoughts and ideas about it, because, like, yeah, it is a discussion at the end of the day, and we're all in this. We're all here for this good fight. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. All the love. Much love for all you guys too. But yeah, so you guys stay safe out there. And keep your eyes wide open. As usual, there's the Telegram is where we put news and updates. Twitter is kind of also for news and updates and just sharing other things that are relating to the great big elephant in the room. And then I do have a Patreon as well. It's for uncensored and bonus content. Everything is free to all members, but for some content it'll be early access for paid members. So if you want to jump on there, you're more than welcome. But yeah, with that said, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
Is a whiz of a whiz, if ever a whiz,